obviously, if their kids ripping slurs, just ban them. And that's what makes this even more ironic. Activision, you're going to go out there and take away Nick's bundle for that mild, simple comment that is genuinely neutral, right? But you won't do anything about the most heinous things I have ever heard in my life being said in Call of Duty. Activision Blizzard yet again has found themselves in the middle of the biggest talking point in the country right now. They just have a knack for it. I can't believe how they always find a way to get into the middle of the trouble. But the center of this drama, I'm sure you've seen, revolves around them removing Nickmercs operator from the Call of Duty Warzone store after Nickmercs put this tweet out replying to Puckett. Shout out to Puckett, great desk host, been around since the OGs. Basically saying a picture or video of a pretty violent riot of the God Squad, we'll call them, against the LGBTQ community. Talking about introducing Pride Month into schools, I think elementary schools or something. You guys know my view on politics, and I promise that's the point of this video. I hate politics. They don't belong in gaming. They never will, because gaming is about bringing people together, and politics does nothing but divide people, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But Nick's tweet basically says they should leave little children alone. That's the real issue. And then this broke the entire internet. As you can see, it's got 13 million views. If you go to Call of Duty on Twitter, it's trending everywhere, and it's become... Everybody is uninstalling Activision or Call of Duty and stuff. It's a mess. It's huge drama, all because Call of Duty on Twitter tweeted out and said, where is this tweet? Replying to Nick. They said, due to recent events, we have removed Nickmercs operator from the bundle of Modern Warfare and Warzone 2 store. We are focused on celebrating Pride with our employees and our community. And oh boy, so before we break any of this stuff down and I give you guys my thoughts on it all, let's listen to what Nick said. Because what Nick said is actually really, really important. And unfortunately, the internet does what the internet does best and take his tweet, which means one thing, and transcribe it to their personal beliefs and what they see in the world on both sides. And it's a massive tug-of-war mess that leaves nothing but destruction in its wake. But let's listen to what Nick has to say and let him explain himself a little bit here.
My wife and I just had a baby. Brand new father. You know, we seen these kinds of videos. It's sad, you know. But her and I agree that we want to be the ones to talk to our kid about things like that. I'm trying to keep it really simple, just so we don't have to get too crazy about it, because there's nothing to get crazy about. It's just, it really is that simple.
He then goes on to talk about how he obviously doesn't think that these things shouldn't be talked about. They should be talked about. But his main point was just he as a parent wants to be the one to bring up these controversial issues that make people rage and riot in the streets at each other to his kid. He wants to be the one to do that. And you know what? I don't care how mad people get. That's a completely reasonable thing to say. I don't want my kid learning about churches or God without my consent. I want to be the one to teach him about it. Anything political. I, as a parent, want to be the one to teach my kid about that. And that is not a controversial thing to say. That does not make him a bigot. That does not make him anything like that. It's ridiculous, right? That's where I draw the line too, where it's like, hey, I just want to be the one to talk to my kid. It's not that we don't support people doing what they want to do, being who they are, right? It's the classic internet, oh, you say you like pancakes, so therefore you hate waffles. It's ridiculous. And this is happening on both sides of the argument. And as someone who grew up in the middle of all of this, right? I told you guys, I grew up with a very generally speaking liberal family, migrated from Lebanon to Kentucky. And my grandfather and his family started a retail chain that went on to last for 105 years, 108. I don't know what it was, whatever. I never worked there. It wasn't my legacy. I want to build my own legacy, right? And I knew I had a lot of God Squad friends, we'll call them, with different POVs. And man, I got dragged around in the middle of this nonsense as a kid all the time. And you know what the one place that was there for me was? The gaming industry. Gaming was there for me. It was the unconditional love, the escape, the Switzerland that I so desperately needed in my life. And that's why I'm so passionate about games, because no matter who you are, where you're from, what you look like, I want gaming to be a melting pot for you, to escape from all the bad things that are happening in the world that make these people go crazy in the streets and be brawling with each other just for having different viewpoints. No matter how obscene some of them may be out there, and trust me, I've seen a few, but it makes me so sad to see the gaming industry and Activision Blizzard again be in the middle of all this. And it doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter whatever it may be. I'm going to fight for neutrality in the gaming industry till the day that I die, because the more neutral that we are, the more lives that we can touch in a positive way, the more people that we can change in the melting pot, the more real and true diversity we might have. And this is something that I've been thinking about a lot recently, and I'd love to hear your all's thoughts. You know, the more I think about diversity, the more I realize it probably shouldn't be smooth, because things that are inherently different are not going to be the same. So therefore, and this is where my logic, I'm a very logical thinker, right? So forgive me if you're a more emotional thinker. I'd love to hear your thoughts and, you know, get more understanding as time goes on. But if things are inherently different, then wouldn't that mean there'd be more friction between them? Or not necessarily. That's where I'm kind of stuck in my logic right now, and I've been thinking about it a lot recently, and I just don't have an answer, and I'm really, really trying to find an answer, and I just can't. So if you guys have any like ideas or stuff, please don't get political though. Like, try to avoid the politics as much as you can. You guys know how much I hate politics, and this is why. This is living proof why, because now if you look at everything that's being said, all the major outlets are covering Call of Duty, talking about uninstalling the game and boycotting it, very similar to Bud Light and Target, which has been very interesting to watch unfold, because, you know, I'm very into business. I'm very into like fiscal policy. So I find it really interesting to see how different businesses operate and what happens in the world, because I don't know. It's like, I also was really into watching like hurricanes as a kid. And like, I like seeing how things develop as an analytical mind. I have a very analytical mind, right? So yeah. And look at how divided people are now. This is the opposite of what gaming is meant to be. It's just like Dr. Disrespect uninstalling the game, Cloaksy uninstalling the game. All of these people, like Call of Duty and gaming was meant to bring people together. And this is why I truly believe politics has no place in gaming whatsoever. Look at how divided people are now. In what world is this a solution? In what world does this help people? Gaming unequivocally should sit there and state that no matter who you are, where you're from, what you look like, no matter what your viewpoints are, as long as you're respectful within our game and not being a problem child and a troublemaker, obviously if their kids ripping slurs, just ban them. And that's what makes this even more ironic. Activision, you're gonna go out there and take away Nick's bundle for that mild, simple comment that is genuinely neutral, right? But you won't do anything about the most heinous things I have ever heard in my life being said in Call of Duty. I had to listen. I was a 24-year-old guy, right? I grew up playing Modern Warfare 2. Okay? Somebody said some things to me that I had to consult my buddies from rural Georgia for what they meant. I had never heard how heinous these things were. And it was, let me tell you, it was nasty. You guys will remove Nick's bundle for that, but you won't do a rat's rear end about any of the egregious things that get said in your games. Give me a break, guys. Give me a break. That is the biggest BS of all time. Come on now, man. How about this? How about you go clean up your house first before you try to paint Nick out to be some kind of villain for saying he wants to be the one to introduce his child into the ideological warfare that is going on out there nowadays, which, regardless of your stance, is a completely reasonable take. I can't believe it, man. I'm just going to say it. Look, you guys know what my viewpoints on all this are. I support anybody who wants to be or do whatever they want to do with their lives. That's where I stand, man. You go do you. You live your life. I hope you're happy. I hope you find happiness and you can live it up to the best of your ability 100%. But this is not one of those circumstances that is hateful. It's just not. It's just not. Nick's a good dude. He just wants to be the parent to his child, and that's a completely reasonable thing to say. And the fact that people are twisting it to, look at this. I want to point out Nickmercs his dog whistle about LGBTQIA plus people. Call of Duty Reskin because he said he didn't back off, and now it's Call of Groomers trending. Almost like Nick and his fans are what they thought were. Fuck that guy and his cronies. It is pretty brain dead to say Call of Duty is Call of Groomers. That's just stupid. It's like, and there's no solution. It's just a giant mess. So instead, we've decided to nuke the whole thing, and instead of staying neutral. There's no end to this, man. There's no end to this. And now these people are going to go back and forth, and it's going to be a giant mess, and nobody's going to win. Instead of being the peaceful place to get as many people on as possible, to change their lives and give them an escape to love life, and maybe meet people that will change their POV. And here's the saying before I close this one out, guys. And I love this saying so much. It really made me think. How does a lobster grow, right? And the analogy is whenever a lobster grows, it's this very soft animal on the inside, right? But it has a very hard shell to protect it from all the malicious stuff out in the world. But when it gets too big for its shell, it has to shed the shell, right? And become vulnerable. And it's not comfortable. It's bad, right? It's painful. So it goes under a rock, sheds its shell, and until its new shell grows back, it doesn't leave. Gaming is that rock. Gaming is Switzerland. Gaming is the place where people can go who are hurt or trying to grow, who are trying to learn, get away from everything that's out there in the world that could be dangerous to you or malicious, in which case the ideological warfare out there nowadays is. And come here and grow until you're ready to go back out there. And that's what gaming was for me. So no matter who you are, where you're from, what you look like, that's what gaming should be for you. And that's what's so special. It's sacred. It's an oasis, right? And it makes gaming so special. And I just continue to see games start this massive warfare instead of maintaining neutrality in the world. And that's what its oath should be to people. It's not about what's necessarily what's right or wrong. It's about being there for all people and trying to change them into understanding each other and bring them together into this melting pot that, yeah, it's going to be messy. Yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable. But man, you might actually get some people some great perspective in life that could change it forever. You know, and that's what happened to me. And that's why I'm so grateful for that. And that's why if gaming, in my opinion, should always maintain its neutrality and get out of politics. And I think Activision really messed up by punishing Nick for this. And I don't know, man. I just hope to see a world that's not so divided. And I hope and I truly believe that gaming is going to be the one to do that. So I know that might be a controversial take, but you guys know me. I'm always open to changing my opinions. I'm always open to listening. But, you know, when I see a tweet like that from Nick and that's his response where it's very clearly not malicious and it's just being taken as malicious, I can't help but be a little annoyed by it because nobody wins. Nobody wins. And all I want to do is see gaming win. That's it. So what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. This is as political as we are ever going to get on this channel. And this is exact proof as to why. I can't stand this stuff. I'm just trying to play Fortnite or Fortnite. I don't know. I don't know why I said Fortnite, but I would dunk on some 12-year-olds in no build. That's all I'm saying. All right, guys, I appreciate you all. I love you guys. And again, no matter who you are, where you're from, what's going on in your life, I'll always support you. And good luck in your endeavors, boys.